Welcome, Sophie. Such a pleasure. I've heard so much about you, and you, having looked at your profile, what thought just came to me that you're doing so much work in terms of strategy and sustainability and in the private sector, if I may say so. So while we will get into that area, I would really be interested in knowing who is Sophie. And beyond this title that you have, and what really actually grounds you in the way you lead.
Thank you for having me. I feel very privileged to be invited to this podcast series. I graduated in international relations and diplomacy, and I wanted to be a diplomat. And I had the chance after graduating of doing an internship at the United Nations headquarters in New York, after which I had a job at the UN Global Compact in New York still, and that was for me the first aha moment when it comes to sustainability. And I believe that was the first step in my journey. On this thematic of sustainability, we're flying the plane as we're building it. It's a very new theme for the private sector, for companies, and we're still learning how to do better, how to do what is right, how to engage with all our stakeholders, and do impactful projects, look for impact and mitigate risks.
So when you talk about your journey and you say it's been a long journey, what has actually stayed constant with you in this journey? In the way how your thinking has evolved, how your leadership skills have evolved. So what was that one constant which stayed with you throughout?
The one constant is about legacy. Yes, building a legacy is the thread under all this, because when we started talking about sustainability in Mauritius, we were more talking about CSR, corporate social responsibility, with great ideas on how to run poverty alleviation programs, to collaborate with NGOs and have a better social impact, make sure that all the Mauritians can benefit from and participate in the development of the country. We were less talking about the environment at first. And I remember another aha moment where, when we talk about sustainability, we use this diagram of the three circles of economy, society, and environment, and we're saying at the intersection, in the middle, is sustainable development. And I remember about 15 years ago, someone just reshuffled these circles and said, as a company, you have to understand that the economy circle is part of a larger social circle, which in part is part of a larger environmental circle. And your economy cannot thrive if the population around it, in the society, doesn't thrive. And the society won't be able to thrive if the environment is not healthy.
It's very interesting you talked about those circles, and though I still subscribe to the intersection of the three circles. And it's not about just the quantum over there, it's the principle behind the thing. Because sustainability is taking care of all the three dimensions. These are all the three dimensions of sustainability, So unless and until you take care of that, you can't really, yes, you may prioritize one over the other. And it's very interesting with the way the private sector is viewing it. So this is also something I really would love to know from you. How are you looking at this bigger shift, I would say, in terms of, it's not sustainability is no longer just that little middle thing, or on one side, as you said, but how it becomes front and center of the businesses. And I think you are in that position, in terms of pushing that thing, where companies need to add in the other P's, as we call it. Profit obviously is there.
Yeah.
But you need to add in the planet. You need to add in the people. You need to add in partnerships, and you need to add in peace. So it's the 5 P's that we talk about, and we add those into that mix. So for you personally, what is that vision, or what does success look like to you?
I believe there is also that sense of legacy and of business continuity that is crucial when you look at what success would be. Success would be for ER Group, for instance, still being in operation in 200 years. The company dates back to 200 years, so we're looking at how to make sure that we are there for the coming generations. And we can't aim at saving the world and even saving Mauritius. As a business, we have to look at our stakeholders and the scope of our action, and where we can influence for the better. But if you look at the area where you operate, the people with whom you operate, your co-workers, your clients, your suppliers, your ecosystem, and you take care of this, that's good enough. And it's very rewarding as well. So I think we have to be very humble on how we approach sustainability, how we approach our environmental impact that we want to improve, how we approach the society where we operate and how we want them to thrive. I think humility is key. I'm not talking. And when I say humility, we also need to celebrate what we do well, and we also need to communicate on what we do well. Because when you communicate on what you do well, you bring people on board with you. You emulate and you inspire, and you transmit. You do this transmission of purpose and with conviction. So communication is key to bring people on board and to have a greater impact. But communication has to be done with a lot of humility.
Okay, excellent. You've mentioned a number of things over here, but most importantly, let me go back to your vision when you talked about that you are looking, your horizon is the next 200 years as well. And so as we are here at this moment in time, what are the choices that Mauritius, your country where you're born, brought up, and where you are living, now what are the choices that it needs to make for you now to be able to really operationalize that 200 years of your horizon?
What comes to mind, because I'm in this sector, is of course the energy transition.
Okay.
I believe that's the key component, and we've seen it in the last weeks, unfortunately, how dependent we are on oil. So energy transition, which comes with clean transportation. More mass transportation, but cleaner transportation. No solution is perfect per se. We can fish for solution to accelerate our climate transition, but the success will come from a mixture of solutions, and I believe we need to start somewhere. So, energy transition, clean transportation, better waste management. We need to use our resources more thoughtfully, consume what we need, and we need to make sure that the less waste we can produce, the better we will be as an island.
So responsible consumption and production.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's SDG 12. Can we make Mauritius, I would say, a leader or a model of a sustainable island developing state with all of the energy transition, the clean transportation that you talk
There was
of?
another sector that I never focused that I believe is very important for us as an island is the protection of our lagoons and of our coast. This is key, the protection of our coastal regions, the protection of biodiversity in our lagoon, the protection of our reef. This will condition, if we miss this, there's a whole, the whole economy will be at risk. So, you know, first tourism, which makes for 23% of our GDP, I think it is highly dependent on how we protect the lagoon and the coast and the beaches. So this is key as well. So to go back to your question about could Mauritius be a laboratory of solutions? Yes, by all means. We are small. We have good institutions in place. We have agility, flexibility. We can test solutions without, of course, being, you know, playing the mad scientist. But we need to test solutions. I was saying earlier that no solution is perfect, but we need agility in, you know, correcting the trajectory as we move and adapting it to hiccups that we may face. I'm thinking of beach preservation, restoration, and coastal restoration. We are looking at in Ballon many solutions to try to restore and protect the beach, and it won't be, you know, one solution of, you know, planting mangrove, beach refurbishment, reef balls, and wave breakers. Sometimes you need to look at
whole host of issues.
Yeah, the whole.
So there's a
holistic
huge opportunity. I mean, taking up from what you are saying. So you mentioned some of the sectors, but okay, let me be a little provocative over here. When you look at an organization like UNDP, what do you see? What do you see as our strongest value add to the private sector?
I believe there's a lot of inspiration that can be brought to Mauritius, to businesses in Mauritius, and to the government here as well on how to do things better, what has worked elsewhere. So this notion of grabbing the best ideas, best practices from elsewhere and bringing them to Mauritius. And UNDP has also participated on so many topics linked to sustainability, helping Mauritius publish its green taxonomy, and that has a direct impact on us as companies. But we were also brought at the table to be able to prepare the best green taxonomy that is more adapted to one country and to our reality.
So, but no, if I was to say from tomorrow, if you have to start thinking of those one or two practical things or strategic things that we now looking at your 200-year horizon and all of that, what would be those one or two strategic and practical areas where we can actually start to work together to make that difference?
I believe climate finance is key if we want to succeed in our transition. In Mauritius, we focus on adaptation, of course. And for that, we need funding as a country, as an island. We need funding and best practices and support, technical support, to succeed in our adaptation.
Okay, so you've kind of outlined the future that Sophie wants to see for Mauritius, right? And so I believe you are quite optimistic that this can happen.
If it can't happen in Mauritius, I don't see where it will be able to happen.
Excellent.
It's a small island. We just need to get the minds together
and roll up our
and the right
sleeves.
funding. But the funding will come if we have a clear strategy. The funding will come if we know where we're going and we have planned it properly.
So what would be that one message that you would give to the business leaders, for instance, and the policy makers, as well as the young people who will be listening to this?
Resilience, it's a muscle. It's not a gift. It's not something that we're going to be granted. We need to work it. We need to train it. We need to strengthen it. And work on the core. Look for improvement in your operations. You look for improvement in your impact. Engage with your stakeholders to succeed in building resilience for you. And when this is done, and if everyone has evolved at the same pace, we will be going somewhere.
But thank you so much, Sophie. It was such a pleasure speaking with you, understanding that side from where you come. But we would really welcome further engagement as well, and see if we can together shoot for the stars.
Lovely. Thank you, Alka.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
a lot.